Hi, welcome to my farm, Taste for Good Farm. And I'm talking about my water problems and how I solve them with rainwater harvest. So a couple of years ago when I started farming and I have cows and sheep, I found during the summer that my well was getting sediment. My farm and my house is on the same well. And at one point, it got so bad that I actually ran out of water for a short period of time. So I brought a well expert in. He fracked it for a considerable amount of money. That only got me 1.25 more gallons. I'm running about 2.5 gallons per minute on my well. It's just not enough. So the next step was to either drill a new well, which is exceedingly expensive and actually uncertain, or I'll do what I've done, which is move to rainwater harvest. I fortunately had a friend who had access to fiberglass containers. I'm showing you one. This is a 1200, and I'll show you a 6000 that I'm working with now. So it was a combination of these containers. I have a network of gutters and PVC that catches the water off of my roof, directs it into here, and then the water travels through 3/4 inch and 2-inch polyethylene lines that are connected to a whole irrigated system in my pastures through Plassen valves and couplers. So why did I do this? Well, rainwater is increasingly reliable even in the drought. If you look at the average rainfall for my area, it's 28.53 inches a year between April and October, which is the primary months where my cows are really drawing on the water supply. If you look at the amount of rain that I'm catching in that period of time versus the square footage on my roof. Average square footage for a house, I'm not catching this much, but I'm catching just enough to meet my demands. Average square footage for a house is 3,000 square feet. So if you take 28.5 inches and you calculate the amount of rainfall per square footage on 3,000 square feet, you get somewhere in the neighborhood of 54,000 gallons of water. Let me check my numbers. 53,322. That comes out to 1 inch of rain equals 1,869 gallons. So like I said, I only put in temporary, and this is winter so you don't see them, but temporary gutter lines that I can take off because of the winter. The snow comes down and can rip them off, so I put temporary ones up. Everything else pretty much stays intact. And it was through this system that I was able to essentially beat the drought this last summer, which was a national disaster, as you all know. The local school, which is less than a mile away, actually ran out of water and they had to charge the well with a water delivery. I got through. And so this was a kind of test of concept. I had 3 1,200 gallon tanks that I place here next to my garage and my workshop. I'll show you my barn in a second, and then there's a water tank on the hillside which allows me to gravity feed. So I'll be with you in a moment to show you my catch and my delivery system off the barn. Thanks. All right, so the system I just showed you was near my home and my workshop. This is down on the farm, and what we have is this very tall barn. This is one of 2 barns, and you can see if you look at the roof and down below the roof line, there's the same kind of attachment area where you can attach a gutter. I have PVC wrapping around the front of that barn, and then it comes around and wraps around the other side, and I have a gutter on that side, and it catches the water and directs it into a 6,000 gallon tank. Let's go look at that. All right, so this is the other side of the barn. This is where both sides come together. As you can see up here, there is a space for my gutters, and then they all come together right there in the PVC. And you can see that the outlet is lower than this 6,000 gallon tank because I had a 1,200 here. and I've replaced it since I proved concept this summer. I'm moving up to a bigger amount, 6,000 gallons, and I've actually put another 6,000 gallon up the top of the property that allows me to collect and feed, actually to feed water, gravity feed water to the pastures. I'll show you that in a second. So because the water gets so heavy once that container is full, I have foam board underneath. And also that's most important to keep the bungs from touching the ground and having pressure on them. Those bungs right now are 1.5 inch lines. I had 2 inches on my 1,200 gallon tanks. When we get to spring, I'm going to connect that to a 2-inch polyethylene line that I bought at FW Web. And before it gets there, I actually run it into a gas-powered water pump that pushes the water up the hill. And if you look up there, you see my other 6,000 gallon tank. Next to it are the 1,200s that I used last summer as well. So thank you, and I look forward to hearing your solutions and your opinions. And thank you.